We're angry today. Welcome. Hats off to you. Jay, you know the spiel at this point. Right, so anger management issues. Okay, I want to talk for a little bit about my personal journey to get to sort of where I am right now at this snapshot in life, right? And I'm still building. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of multimillionaire, and if you buy my product where I tell you all about how great my life is, then you'll be able to live a similar life that's also very great. Ain't like that, homie. Ain't like that. So, being your own person in a world that doesn't at all want you to be your own person, right? It's difficult because, like me, I was the precocious child who wanted to do anything but go to work and go do all this other fun stuff. But the world is constantly trying to tell you that this is the blueprint for success. This is what other people have done. So if you follow the same blueprint, then you're going to be completely successful. And yes, that does work to some extent. I mean, obviously, if something's successful for somebody, then it should be successful for other people. That's the theory, but it doesn't always necessarily work that way because you ain't other people. If it's somebody who you're trying to follow to a point and maybe you have the same interests as that person or similar personality, then maybe that'll work out for you. But if your life isn't the same way that somebody else's life is, and you're trying to emulate that life by following their exact blueprint, then you're probably not going to go very far. Faux instance. I went to college, as was the blueprint for somebody like myself, and I went and got myself a marketing degree, and I graduated with honors, magna cum laude, and I had all my little tassels around my neck graduation night, talking about how I had my recognition for academic excellence and all this good stuff. And the president of the university even took a second when he shook my hand as I received my diploma, saying, those chords meant that you did something, that you really strived and overachieved. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe I did a little bit. And I'm not boo-hooing on college, and I'm not boo-hooing on my marketing degree or anything. I'm just saying that that's the blueprint that I was told to follow. You need to get a degree and then go out into the world and then you'll be okay. Everything will work itself out. You ain't gonna have no problems whatsoever if you get this marketing degree. Well, that was at the end of the recession from a few years ago, dark times for all, where a lot of people were figuring, hey, instead of hiring 5 people to do the jobs of 5 people, we'll actually hire 2 people to do the jobs of 5 people, and then once we hit our busy season, we'll subcontract somebody and pay them pennies on the day. It was a terrible time for everybody. Well, so obviously someone like me who has no real experience other than working a couple of odd jobs here and there and this fancy degree that says that I'm intelligent, it didn't really carry a lot of clout with a lot of people. I worked as a car salesman for about 3 months before I realized that that wasn't for me. I put in like applications all these places. I put my resume out on all these job sites, and I figured, hey, somebody's going to call me, right? Everybody just needs a marketing guy. And here's something else for prospective marketing students. Not to be bitter, of course. If you have a concentration in marketing, like for sports management or some kind of niche marketing thing. If you're just general marketing, a lot of people, especially if you're younger, a lot of would-be employers will look at that and they'll just see salesperson. Forget analysis of markets, forget advertising, forget target market targeting and analytics and actual marketing. You're a salesperson. Marketing is a $2 word for sales. But I finally got a little bit of headway with some guys, what they call headhunters, temp organizations. Now, this was supposed to just be a job where I basically picked up paper from one side of the office and carried it over to the other side of the office and set down the paper and said, here, this is the paper which used to be over there and it's here now, right? Pretty simple job. Apparently, a marketing degree does not qualify you to pick up paper and move it from one corner of the office to the other. Who knew? Well, apparently I didn't get that job, but I did get another job later. It was the same job, but it was a different job. Kind of came out of the woodwork too, right? Guy just calls me up one day and he's like, "Yeah, you got the job, man. The job the job's yours, bro." Then I got an email, mind you, later, saying that apparently there was a new manager at that bank and he didn't like my resume, I guess. Seems like that's something that would have been established before I got a call from the headhunters. So there came a point where I even tried to go back to school because I wasn't getting anywhere with the degree that I had. And I was thinking, like, okay, I was trying to apply anywhere at this point. I was trying to apply at like some fast food places and auto parts stores. And I mean, literally, when I say nobody was hiring, I mean nobody was hiring because it's a very odd position that I was in where I was highly qualified, kind of in a vacuum by myself on an island. But then it was like, well, nobody wanted to hire anybody new who didn't have the experience, but he had the degree. But then the people over here who maybe the degree wasn't necessary, they maybe liked the experience, but they saw that I had a degree and then I guess I wanted too much money. Really damning feeling to have where you try to do the right thing, and now nobody wants it. Nobody wants you. So I went back to school for a semester trying to get into the education program to get me a secondary ed degree. And, a fifth year thing where I could kind of be in out and just kind of be done with it. Well, guess what? That didn't work out either. I worked for a department in the school where there was supposed to be a GA position opening up. And I went back to school. The whole reason I went back to school was based upon getting this GA, graduate assistant, position, which would help pay for the tuition. So I could make money while going to school for essentially free. And hey, at least have something going for me, right? No. So finally, I break down and I go work at a drugstore. I basically have to kick in the front door of the place and be like, "Yo, I put in an application here. This is where I want to work for the time being at least. Hook me up, man." And I guess, was inspired enough by me kicking in his sliding door to say, "Hey, let's give this guy a job." And I worked there for about 5 months. Turns out that the store manager there did not care much for me. Still don't know why. The whole reason I decided to give the drugstore a chance was because I figured, I'll work cashier. I have no problem with that. I'm a worker bee. I'll do what I need to do. I'm not too proud to do anything because money's got to be made. I got to have something to eat with. So put me where you think I need to be. But I was kind of hoping that maybe there was a little bit of upwardness to it, right? So then this is where it gets funny. And this is the point where I want to really focus and hone in on the issue of persistence, sticking to your guns, and kind of a throwback to the last episode about having standards for yourself. Not doing the thing that I had to do, right? So, another headhunting agency during this time was starting to give me some phone callage, right? So, and you interview with them, it's like, "We really, really like you. We'll call you for a third interview if we really, really, really like you." But it turns out that the third interview was not actually an interview with them. It was an interview with the same bank company. Woo! So this is where I get really mad by this point, right? Because you got to understand, it's been over a year since I've been graduated from college. I did what everybody told me to do to get the degree, and then everything would be fine. My finances would be set. A man from the city would come and set a picket fence up directly in my front yard because that's what the American dream is, I guess. The third interview with this company was to be a, like a cattle call type interview or whatever. Weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? And don't do this, okay? I'm about to tell you this. It's for humor and to kind of piss you off enough so that you don't want to do this. Don't freaking do this, okay? It is dehumanizing. Do not freaking do this to yourself. Don't. Right. So, I took off work an hour early because I was told to be there at like 4:30, and so trying to uphold my end of the bargain here, I go, stupid me, went at 4:30. So I had to ask off an hour earlier from work. I had to be out at a drugstore, dash into the car, across the street to the McDonald's to get me some food, down my face while I was going to the Target so that I could go to the family restroom with a bag of clothes, change, Superman that stuff in the family room, come out wearing a suit all of a sudden with a bag of commoner clothes here, and go dashing out to the car and throw stuff in there and burn rubber for the interstate and chug on to the big city, right? And I just keep telling myself like, yeah, this is bad, but you're doing level 8 right now. You're on World 8, Stage 4. You're running to the finish. Take the axe, knock the bridge out from underneath the Koopa Man, and then you'll have the princess in the form of this job, right? So I walk in there, and you walk into the actual bank mega center building, right? And it's not like everybody's just sitting there like waving at you like, woo, come on in, man. Yeah, come on. We giving jobs out over here, man. No, wasn't like that at all. You walk through the front door and there's nothing there. It's just a big hall that's empty. And then there's a singular woman sitting at a little desk here. And she's just like looking at me. And it's like, hey, I'm here for an interview, I guess. Oh, and she pulls out like this gigantic clipboard and slings it up here on the desk. And I'm, one of the last entries to sign in or whatever. And she points me, well, you got to go down the hallway and turn to the right, and then you got to go through that door, and then it'll be around on the side. And it's like a place in the building that if you look at the building from the outside, this hallway shouldn't even exist, is where I had to get to. It's over on the outside kind of corner of the building, and like you actually go through like an interdimensional portal, and boom, you're there at the casting cattle call for a temp job, which may not even be a full job, right? And I walk in, and there's people everywhere. I mean, there's got to be at least like 25 other people in the room. And I'm thinking, they surely haven't interviewed yet because they'd be gone. These people are ahead of me? How many interviewers do we got? And what it literally was, and this is the really dehumanizing part, don't freaking do this, was there were, like 3 or 4 different people hiring for a job. So I guess maybe there were 3 or 4 different positions, the same sort of thing. But it wasn't just the one headhunter organization. It was like 2 or 3 of them. And they're all sitting in the corner with the opposing people like laughing and cutting up and stuff while we're all sitting over here wanting a job, wanting to make some money, So, I got there at 4:30-ish, I was on time for my interview. Well, I didn't actually interview until closer to like 5:30 or 6, right? So like I see people slowly going back there, slowly. And I'm wondering like, okay, so what about the people who, because what I was told was that they were possibly hiring people on the spot. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, if they're hiring people on the spot, let's say there's 50 people here. The first 4 people who walk in, they get the job. What about the other 46? Screw them, go home? I mean, what is that crap? I think I figured it out though, because finally it was my turn to go. So I get up and I dude on back into the room, and I sit down across from this guy, and I can tell this guy's got a sense of entitlement. He's somebody, or so he thinks. Wayne, I believe his name was. And he was an older gentleman, and I'm not being discriminatory. I'm just, setting the scene for you. He was an older gentleman, and I think he made up his mind before I even walked through that door. This guy's going to be a failure. I sat down, and he didn't even really look at me. His first question is pretty much like, so why do you want to leave the company you're with? And I was like, well, it's good company. I like working there, but I don't really feel like I have any chance for upward momentum. I want to be able to kind of dig my heels in and, get some promotions or whatever. And I don't really feel like my store manager really even acknowledges my existence. And so he basically, for the next several minutes, proceeds to give me crap. And then he says, well, this is a temporary job, right? Why do you want it so bad? What makes you think that you have any chance for promotion here? And I said, well, I would like to think that my performance would take me far enough where I would be offered a full-time position. And then, dude, once again, completely ridiculous, total asshat, was, well, if you had a full-time job, then that would probably mean somebody else's job would be on the block. It could be mine. Do you think I'd want that? And I'm like thinking, if you don't want me here, Tool, just say that you don't want me here. I was not prepared for this question. I didn't think it was going to be a personal affront to you, because you're the interviewer. You should want people here. Freak, give me the freaking job. So I was upset, and he gave me some simple math question, but it was one of those where it has several digits at the end. So it sounds more complicated than it is, and after you kind of go, wait, no, it's no. Okay, yeah, it's this. And he's like, see, it ain't that hard, right? It's like, no, it's not that hard, but I'll have a calculator usually. Quit being an ass. I didn't say those words to him, but I sure looked at him like it. So I might have been out of work yet again. But you know what? Up and out of the freaking sky, I mean literally, like a hole in the clouds opened up and just here's a job for you. I went in and said, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. This is why I want a different job. And they said, okay, cool. And then I was hired. And then that was that. So my point to you is be persistent. Stick to your guns. You don't necessarily need to lower your standards to get a nicer job or to get to, it doesn't just have to be jobs too. I just thought about the job thing because that really pisses me off. Be persistent and don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to try it, because people are going to look at you and say, well, that's not the way you need to do things. Well, guess what? If you always do things the way that you're told to do things, it doesn't always work out either. So you be you, you do you, you be comfortable with doing you, and usually things will work out okay. To thine own self be true, and like, comment, and subscribe on this channel here, and go check out the Facebook and go check out the Twitter. Much love, y'all. Hey, don't we all feel a little bit better now? Hats off to you.